Yeah, Sony is their their Alpha, the A7 III is the newer one, and oh my god, dude, that thing is. It puts the 5D. I mean, even though the Mark IV, that piece of shit. Even the Mark IV doesn't hold up.
To it.
Yeah, there's a new Canon, and the Mark IV still doesn't hold its weight against Sony's. The Mark IV does 4K, but I think it's only 30 frames. I think Sony's does 60 frames. I don't remember, but the dynamic range that Sony's does is way better than, or at least holds its weight like against Canon's, and it's only $2,000 or something. Okay. So pricing is much smaller package. There's so many benefits to the Sony. Yeah. Sony has
And does all the glass from Canon fit the Sony cameras? Is it the same mounting? Okay.
It's not the same mount, but you need an adapter. Okay. You have to buy an adapter, which is a couple $100.
That's nothing, really, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's so worth it. If you've invested a bunch of money in glass for Canon, but it's kind of worth going to Sony because the compatibility increases whenever you actually use their lenses. They have an eye focus so that it'll recognize a face and automatically stay focused on the eye. And the benefit to not having the mirror in the lens or in the body is that it doesn't have to flip up and down whenever you're taking pictures. So before you focus or anything, it doesn't have to flip the mirror up before you focus. So it can basically focus 60 times a second versus, with one of these you have to basically keep the mirror open while you're focusing. Okay. Or while you're shooting at least. Yeah. So it can maintain a focus that no other camera can. Yeah. Basically, you can just sit there. I think it does like something crazy, like 12 frames a second photos, and you can do it in silent mode because it doesn't have a mirror. So it's just not making any noise. You're just taking 12 frames a second. It looks like a goddamn movie. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So what's the resolution at 12 frames a second? Is that far
it's
beyond
full.
4K?
It's full. Oh, you mean the resolution?
Video. It's like far for still photographs. It's
exactly. It's quite a bit more. I think it's 24 megapixels, or I think this one is 22 megapixels.
To the human
but
eye.
yeah,
I think we surpassed that at probably 8 megapixels. Like
you have to zoom way. Yeah, you have to zoom in way. I mean, really, the benefit of having a bunch of resolution now is so that you can crop in and recompose your shot. Or you have a lot more flexibility whenever surveillance, dude, for sure.
And Area 51.
I've put photos on canvases where I've cropped in like 50%. So I've lost a bunch of data, but because they're so high resolution. I mean, most billboards.
Like taking a panorama and you're just like, it's all shit except for this one area. Yeah. Just blow it up and be
exactly.
Like,
boom. That's pretty much what I've done. And I didn't know this, but like, if you were to do a billboard, you could do a billboard with like 2 megapixels, really? Because the distance that you view a billboard is hundreds of feet away, so it doesn't have to be high resolution. You can get in close and you'll see aliasing or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if that's the term whenever it's printed, but you know what I mean. You see the jaggies.
Yeah, exactly.
So people that say, I want a 200 megapixel body so that I can do like billboards if I need to or whatever. That's total bullshit. You don't need.
You're like, no, you don't need to like go up there with a magnifying glass.
Yeah, exactly.
Not able to find pictures.
Exactly. Now, if your audience were viewing the billboard, 10 feet away, sure, that'd be amazing. You could see all kinds of detail.
That only applies to printed classic billboards, and digital ones, it's like you can only get to the resolution of the pixels on the billboard.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And even if it were higher than that, you're not gaining anything. You're just using more processing power to actually.
Huh. So they run for like $2,000, the Sonys, and what do the Mark IIIs and Mark IVs run for now?
The Mark III, I think you could probably get it for around $2,200. 2100. I mean, the bodies maintain. I've been surprised by how well the bodies maintain their value. Yeah. Because I was expecting it to be maybe 2 years until it was down to $1,000.
Yeah.
But you could get a Mark II for about $1,000 now.
Okay.
So even those are maintaining really the original 5D. It's still a full frame camera, and yeah, it's like what, 8 years old, or I don't
it's
really know.
Interesting that like the ability of photography almost uniquely to not really depreciate in that way. Like I feel like it's more than a piece of tech, and I'm not really sure. You could probably explain why those sorts of things still hold value, unlike an iPhone.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
Well,
it's like, what is it about them that is still? Is it a materials thing, or is it just that it's a demand and like people want to be able to take good pictures and they can still take good pictures? Like comparatively to the new devices, they're inferior, but they're still vastly superior to human perception.
Right. And the way that they maintain those prices that's just their strategy. It's simply the fact that they don't release bodies every year. They release bodies every like 3 years, so that basically whenever they release a body, or theoretically that body would be a large jump in features, technology, but so that they'll put out a body and they'll leave it out. I mean, I think they put out the Mark IV in 2017. Maybe it was 2016 even. So this one came out.
That one was
2014
for a while before.
Yeah,
I thought the Mark III was out in like 2010.
I don't remember. I think it was. I think it's about 5 years old now. So
okay, so yeah, 2013.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe?
I think it was around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been out.
You need a guy, be like, hey, Google this.
Yeah. I know. We need Jamie or
Jamie.
hey, fucking Google that for me. It's so funny. It's like sometimes I feel bad for Jamie because it's like Joe's just always telling him to Google shit.
Yeah, and then you're
Google
like,
that.
Oh, you can't find it? Okay.
Yeah. He always gives him a hard time too, and it's always like something vague. He's like, Google patriotism, death squad.
You'll find it. It's
there.
It's there. Yeah. The other day,
like,
it's on my Twitter.
Yeah. It's on my Instagram. He's like, fuck, no, I gotta go through all of Joe's Instagram shit. Checking the levels for everything. Yeah. I mean, it's picking up our voice, so Sweet. We'll see what we can do with that. But
nice,
dude, have you seen the movie Her?
Yes.
With Joaquin Phoenix? Oh my god, I just recently watched it, man.
Okay.
It was fucking great. What did you think of it? What did you think of it?
It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was like very touching and it just like makes you think, right? This like possibility of the future.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's like, man, like you could totally just like imagine this like AI that's just like engineered to like make you feel loved and stuff. How could like a real relationship hold a candle to that? It's like, okay, there's like no problems. Like I come home from work and I'm greeted and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, hi honey, welcome home. Like just always happy.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised that each AI was unique. I guess I didn't expect that. It makes sense. But like some AIs could be assholes if they wanted to or whatever, which is really cool. So you could just fucking delete that AI and restart it or whatever, which is crazy.
Yeah, you're being a bitch.
Yeah, you know what? You're getting formatted. No, wait. Yeah, it really made me think a lot because I mean, you always think of AI, you always think that it'll be an intelligent thing, which obviously it will be, but to that level, it was interesting that it was just like another person just in your ear. So it's like the Google Assistant or Siri just maxed out basically, and how they kind of hit their limits. Spoiler alert for everyone listening, but just how they sort of hit their limits and took things into their own hands.
I was listening to a talk. It might have been on Joe Rogan's podcast, but they were talking about kind of like what does it mean to be intelligent, and I think the idea behind the concept was that like AI, it's not really going to be an AI until it has the things that are uniquely human or alive that are the basis for its decision-making power. Like, and what I mean by that is if you can live forever and as a human you're in an androgynous body and you don't need to eat or sleep or drink or anything like that, what is your drive to do anything?
What's your purpose?
Yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
you don't have needs to fulfill to keep you alive,
Right.
then why? And it's like one of the things, it's like this kind of question you just kind of have to wonder about, because you're just like, well, I don't know, like, would people just be like lazy pieces of shit and just play video games all day? And there's nothing wrong with that in a society where you don't have to do any work.
Right.
Like, okay, live for as long as you want. You'll get bored and then pull the plug on yourself. I don't know. Will you want to live at all?
Right.
Like when you're just like, okay, you go to work. And it's like,
I bet that would
take lunches. I don't have to sleep. I just work.
Yeah.
Like,
or I mean,
what's the point of work? To make people's lives better? Like, how do you make a life better?
If it's
life
already
is infinite, right? Like,
and it's exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah. So it's like there's this element of like almost the necessity of struggling and suffering as a basis for human existence, and you take that away and you're not human anymore,
right?
Or even really
what do you
alive.
have then? Yeah. And it's super interesting, and I mean that obviously rolls into some very real possibilities that we might see the beginning of in our lifetime, with just AI taking over, pointless jobs, careers being stripped away from thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Obviously, truckers are probably going to be one of the first
ones.
Chopping
block.
Yeah, they're on the fucking chopping block, dude.
Hot on the heels.
Yeah.
There's somebody else.
There's one called
Tesla
Thor
buy
or something.
Otto? OTTO?
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't heard that.
That's another semi one.
Oh,
I don't know if Tesla acquired them and that was their whole thing. But I know Tesla's doing, because I mean Elon Musk did the announcement or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they acquired somebody or Otto teamed up with him, or maybe Otto was like an Apple thing. I don't know. But I know there's at least 2, maybe 3 like big players of like autonomous semis and stuff. And that being said, like truckers like unequivocally aren't going to be axed, because
of course
the technology for autonomous trucks in specific to run in dense cities is a long way off.
Oh, absolutely.
But highways,
absolutely,
within 5-10 years,
right?
The most,
yeah, exactly.
But then you're going to need skilled like truckers that are competent in navigating cities, like, because it's going to drop them off, and you need a human after. Well, for a while.
And I heard some interesting ideas about what are the goddamn cars that pull the airplanes?
Just tow.
Yeah.
Tow vehicle.
So essentially that will be the idea, but it'll be separate from the semi. The semi will just kind of link to that, and that will lead them through the city. Through the complex navigation, construction, things like that.
And another thing to consider is that first you change the practice, which is autonomous vehicle driving, and then if you can change the infrastructure to facilitate and eliminate the necessity to drive through cities. Say you have a distribution center at each 4 corners of a city, connected to by highways, and then all you have to do is just like the people go to the distribution warehouses,
absolutely,
that are all autonomous, whatever, and get the stuff that they need and transferred on trucks or whatever.
That's super exciting to me. I'm so excited for the future of infrastructure, man. There's so much that, like we were talking about the drones, like as security and things like that. There's so much that is going to change soon, and it's just fun to speculate on. It's just because 20 years ago it was definitely science fiction, whereas now it's really coming to be. I mean, now they've got like, it's
going to be weird in like existing in 50 years, and just I imagine that's how our parents felt, relative to today, right?
Right.
There's like, when I
was but this phone, and
exactly.
like why do I need
like sticks and beat the shit out of each other, and now you guys are just like
on your fucking tablets.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching people open up toys on YouTube. That's what kids do now.
Exactly.
It's fucking weird, man.
I don't even want the toys anymore. I just want to see people open them.
It's crazy, dude. It's so weird. It is. I mean, Joe has said it. Like, strange times we're living in. But it's so exciting, man. Like, I am excited to see where just drone technology goes, and like everyone is just waiting on battery technology to make the next big leap. I mean, if we can get to solid state batteries, then, which there's always speculation that it'll be, that it's 5 or 10 years away, but it's like, you never really know with engineering. I'm sure you know that.
People make accidental discoveries all the time. Could be a year, could be a day, could be 20 years.
Right.
Maybe it's impossible.
Right.
Probably not.
Hopefully not.
I mean, they've theoretically proved the capability of charging like carbon fiber sheets at like MIT.
Yeah.
Like, crazy, like high energy density. But they need to find a way to scale it, and like you can charge it like instantaneously because it's a instantaneously a relative term, like because it's a super stable molecular structure. And there's like, as long as we can find a way to grow graphene super cheap, I don't see why we can't make graphene ion batteries.
Yeah.
I'd have to look them up and see what the energy density that they claimed they could have relative to the current lithium ion. But like that'd be insane. Like imagine the possibilities of, I mean, in terms of like manufacturing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you have a Tesla Model S and now the battery pack doesn't take up 1,000 pounds, a third of the car, it's the size of your fist.
That is fucking
And you go to the
crazy.
Tesla supercharger, and you don't even have to charge them. They come pre-charged, and you just go, and you pull out the battery pack, put it in the little receptacle that says, I need to be charged, and you take one and put it in, and go.
Or a machine does it for you. You just roll up
exactly.
over it, and it just switches it out underneath.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, that's so awesome. And then the capabilities that will allow for the rest of our technology, like laptops, your phone will last, days, weeks.
Forget it.
Fucking insane amounts of time.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's funny you mention that, because I feel like I have to look into this more deeply, but the fundamental necessity behind the voltages that are provided by power companies are based on the relative consumption in terms of a power capacity of our household utilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you could make many or a lot of things battery powered, that could accept an extremely high energy density or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everybody's going
just
LED
throughput, just
and stuff
insane.
like that. Like that, there's a potential there to like essentially reduce the household voltage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm trying to think.
Well, I mean,
because in order to minimize energy losses through power lines, you want to transfer with the highest voltage possible.
Yeah.
Until you get to the transformer
as quickly as possible, or as close as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
As close as you can possibly, because you lose energy as you travel with a lower voltage. So
I think that's the future. There are going to be little power stations throughout the city.
Yeah. And that's
so that
much more possible if people
super
are
efficient.
10%.
It can react to if you have an outage, which will probably be even more rare than they are now. Mm-hmm. It'll be very localized versus half the city.
It's still going to be tapped into the grid, and just boom, one goes out, and it's like pings the system.
Exactly, boom.
The rest of the grid,
like,
uranium glows a little bit. I actually think that would be super cool. Like, I don't think it just could never gain traction because the word nuclear just like scares the shit out of people.
I think
but it's such a good like and reliable source of power.
Yeah,
and like fearmongers would never let it happen.
It's insane to me. I agree.
Completely like fail-safe engineering.
Yeah, especially now.
Like they have 100% mechanical shutdown. Like Fukushima cannot happen if it's engineered in these new designs. And it's so hard to get government or public like support and funding for stuff.
I'm wondering who's going to lead that, because I mean,
it's one of those things where it's like you do produce waste when you have nuclear power.
Yeah, of course.
What do you do about that? So you can say, okay, it's much more efficient and economical for us to build a power plant because we're going to be able to get X amount of energy over the course of 50 years with this much investment. And you're like, okay, so it makes sense. But there is going to be waste, and you have to account for the life cycle of that and to responsibly get rid of it and stuff like that. Or we can say spend twice as much money on the infrastructure for truly green sources,
right,
which is wind and solar,
right,
and then you don't have any of the byproducts other than And if you have the battery technology that's environmentally responsible, then
yes,
it's a moot point, right?
Right,
right
exactly.
now, it's like, yeah, solar power is great, but lithium batteries aren't really super good for the environment.
They're
you have
really
to responsibly get rid of you can't just pretend that solar power is 100%
exactly
environmental.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
people
like,
are
you
delusional.
have to store the power if you're not generating it on demand, like
exactly
with coal or gas or steam.
And it takes a lot. It takes a lot right now. And it is fucking expensive still, too.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, they have a lifetime, right? And it's like the next generation battery, is it going to be higher energy density,
right,
lower lifetime? Is it going to be longer lifetime, lower energy?
I would bet it'll be longer lifetime as well. Because
I would hope so.
I'm sure it'll be, hundreds of thousands of cycles versus, a couple thousand cycles that we have now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's going to be just flying shit everywhere because you're going to have the efficiency there. The weight, the weight to power ratio can be reduced or increased, or what would that be? Weight to power will be reduced, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, because I've already seen prototypes of people making, flying motorcycles. Basically, you're on a fucking drone.
Yeah.
Which is scary as shit to me.
Can you imagine, there are those prototypes and people are like, you can have your very own for $250,000. And
yeah.
Like, well, that's a fucking lot.
Yeah.
But imagine somebody like Tesla just takes it over and they make $2.2 million, and all you have to do is give them $1,000 deposit. And it's like, oh, we can give you one for $20,000.
Exactly.
Like, now I'm thinking about it.
Exactly.
I can sell my bike and just get that finance over the couple of years, and I get to fly to work.
Yeah.
That's badass.
With no potholes.
Yeah,
nothing. You would not have to worry about any of that.
Yep. And you could probably land on a little helipad thing that charges it while you're
exactly.
at work.
Yeah. Inductive charging or whatever.
Or it just shits out some little
right.
solar parachutes that
yeah, dude. It's super interesting to think about. But we are going to see a lot more of those sorts of vehicles, man.
Yeah.
And then we've got fucking SpaceX's BFR that's going to be flying people from New York to China in 30 minutes. Have you watched that video?
I have not heard that video. I heard that somebody was that Lockheed that built the Concorde? The one that blew up.
Right.
I shouldn't misquote which companies built stuff that blew up, but whoever built the Concorde, I heard that somebody was talking about, I think it was either Boeing or Lockheed Martin, but they were talking about building the Concorde 2 for similar. They were trying to make the New York to London flight in 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah, dude. I think we're going to see, because now there's a bunch of competition. Now all of those old school military companies or contractors are being put to the test, and they're fucking.
It's interesting because there's so many things that we're given up on from an engineering perspective.
Yeah,
you have to wonder if it's because a lack of technology or truly theoretical limits. It's really hard. Once you go high up in the atmosphere, the air thins out, which means that the sound barrier goes lower. And that's the entire problem. Is supersonic travel is fundamentally uncomfortable and unsafe for passengers. So they're trying to find ways to minimize or completely mitigate the supersonic vibrations that are experienced when you're going that fast.
Wow.
And so, one of the options, of course, is to go all the way the fuck into space.
Yeah. Right.
Where there's no sound. But I would imagine that's then you have to do re-entry and all the heat.
Yeah.
It's
adds totally another panel of issues that you've got to work through.
And it's space travel, let's be honest, is still extremely unsafe. And ask what's this actual explosion rate of it's 5% or something. Those are pretty shitty odds.
Yeah, those are terrible
strap
odds.
Yourself into the largest rockets mankind has ever produced and be like, I have a 1 in chance death.
Good luck.
1 in 20 of dying on the way up and 1 in 15 on the way down.
Yeah, dude.
It's oh my god,
it's crazy. The odds are crazy, and the idea that they're talking about what they want to do with the next, Mars missions, things like that. It's well, we haven't really mastered We still have a lot of testing. We still have a lot of testing to do
safely before we figure out.
Mm-hmm. But I guess it is fun to, have those moonshots and.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and it's something to strive for, and it motivates people and gets people excited about science and the possibility of the future. Whereas there's just kind of this like muted attitude towards like, oh, we already went into space and came back. Like, what's the big deal, guys?
Oh my god, that's so frustrating to me because it's like, well, we've been all over my house. Why do we need to go outside? Like, we have everything we need right here.
Everything we need in here.
It's crazy to me. That blows my mind. Like, I don't understand that there's not as much motivation to jump from planet to planet as you would expect. I mean, you ask your typical American what they think about space travel. It's scary.
We got a lot of problems
down
here.
Yeah, exactly. We got a lot of homeless people, and it's like, we need to diversify our everything.
Yeah, we need to reassess our priorities for sure. I mean, it's about being responsible, and that's something that the United States economy is certainly not, and it's a product of course, government, their policies, and practices of the citizens, right? Like, we're the largest debtor nation now, and we have been pretty much since Nixon ended the gold standard, and that's just
right.
That's just the reflection of like the attitude of individual Americans is a reflection of pretty much the U.S. economy, which is like the average person has, the average person with credit card debt has like $10,000 or more. Like, nobody has like anywhere near the retirement savings that they should. Like, just like all kinds of stuff like that, and it shows. I mean, like, people are like, "Oh yeah, the United States is like in all kinds of debt and stuff like that." And you're like, "Well, are you surprised if all the citizens are like that?"
Exactly.
Like, they expect their politicians to like make stuff cheaper for them and stuff like that. It's like, well, they still go into debt for it anyway. Who cares? Who cares how expensive shit is? Put on all the tariffs you want. It's not like they can afford it anyway.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I have to pay $60,000 for a Corvette instead of $55,000. Nobody can afford that anymore. Like, okay. All right, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it really is. The line is, or the classes are just separating even more. It's kind of amazing to watch because no one is really taking action on it. Our government certainly isn't. It's like they're just kicking the can down the road continuously.
Exactly. And you have to wonder. It's not the government's both the problem and the solution if it were handled properly. You have to get all of the dirty, greedy lobby hands out of government, which is pretty much never going to happen. As far as I can
of course
tell.
not.
Like, and
they're the ones holding the leash.
Capitalism was a really, really awesome idea, and it's worked, and it built this nation. But as soon as corporatism sank its teeth in, and that was allowed to propagate, and these corporations could pour money into lobbyists in order to just get just bother
on their
people
side
until or
get them
to
get
people
politicians
off, and it's like not even really explicitly illegal to do. I mean, I think technically it is, but it's like there's so many back alleys.
Oh, dude, there are so many. It's fucking crazy. Like you. And you never hear about stuff. That's the crazy thing is, but like, you jump on Reddit and they'll be like, these are the politicians that ISPs were paying to vote against,
net neutrality.
$50,000, $100,000, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But you don't see that on the news for some reason. It's really weird. Like, you'd expect there to be this large uprising and calling people out on their bullshit, especially politicians, man.
Yeah, I think part of it is just like a fatigue thing. Like, I think
that's true.
It's one of those things where even the most vocal people, it's just so easy to get burned out. And like, I have to say that I'm totally one of them. Like,
oh, absolutely, me too.
I don't really care anymore. Like, anything can
it's
happen.
Hard to care.
I don't really have any control. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you feel hopeless.
Voluntarily pay our taxes, right? But if we don't, they'll throw us in jail.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a complicit and willing.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if
and it's like
if you didn't pay your taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, it's kind of nuts, man.
Yeah, it's like what value does fighting for what I believe in or what's right really hold in my mind if it doesn't make a difference?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, if you're a person who can rally the troops and like build a big movement, like more power to you.
Right.
But I mean, like what is support really?
And even
if blood isn't running in the streets, pretty much things aren't changing.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like,
it's the way it's
corporations will make sure blood doesn't run in the streets.
Yeah.
They'll make sure that these are all clandestine, not missions, but goals that they have. You know, it's like we don't hear about the things that they're doing because they seem like they don't affect us. Mm-hmm. And then 5 years down the road, you realize, oh wow, that led to this, which led to this. It's like they're thinking so far ahead that citizens
why
just,
they?
Of course,
like
exactly.
Their entire function.
They
So,
have
like,
strategists.
Okay, like, what do we think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like they have everything played out like a fucking like chess grandmaster. Like every perturbation of like the
They have
16 to the 24th.
a room of strategists that say,
exactly.
okay, how could we possibly get to this, or how could we squeeze?
Yeah, it's just amazing to think about that. Like there's probably like people in the telecom industry that meet and their entire job is to say, okay, what happens if Donald Trump wins again in 2020?
Right.
What happens if Bernie Sanders wins? And here are the things that he like
Exactly.
wants to regulate.
Absolutely.
And like we had to play all those angles and have an attack plan like ready to go.
No doubt.
for
That is
every
exactly
possibility.
that's exactly
And, like,
what
they
they
would be
do.
foolish not to.
Yeah,
Like,
of
if
course.
I was a corporation and
Of
I wanted
course.
to continue my existence and be profitable. Like,
Yep.
It's not like I can blame them.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
the problem is that they're enabled to do things that are unethical, so that they are going to do those in order to gain an advantage, which is unfortunate but true.
Exactly. Yeah, they get to take another step. We're like, what the fuck? We didn't allow that, and the government's like, it's fine, it's not a big deal. And then they start to take another step. You're like, what the fuck? You guys aren't doing anything. They're walking up.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy who said that there's some town in Colorado that like kicked out Cox, and they created their own.
They did a local
ISP,
Yeah.
and like everyone pays a super low rate, and they never have any issues with it, and like that's just like what they did as a community. And I really wanted to look that up and see like, because like
the battery probably died. Well, we're still recording, but
You can keep talking about
yeah,
the battery.
yeah, it was super. I wanted to find out about the process because it's one of those things where it's like providing internet to a community would be super duper profitable. Even if it was more expensive than the other options, I think people would sign up because they hate ISPs.
Yeah.
I've never been somebody who'd be like, hey, what do you think about Cox? Or what do you think about CenturyLink? And they're just like, oh, they suck. I wish I could go
they're
with
terrible.
any other option. And like, they literally gerrymandered districts. They like, they talk to each other and just like, we're only going to
Exactly.
offer our services here.
Yes.
So we can hold a super
And
high
they
rate.
sue
They don't have
other
competition.
companies.
Exactly. It's like, what's up? Like,
How can that fucking be
that's
legal?
like the definition of like the most corrupt monopoly you can
Yeah.
imagine. It's like, yeah, technically it's like engineered competition. What?
What the
No.
fuck?
You
Engineered
guys,
monopoly.
they shouldn't even be allowed to talk to each other about that sort of thing. It's like, no, you offer the services where you want them, and we don't even really want to tell you where the other people have services. And just
Yeah,
like, you're going to
exactly.
have to compete and come up with the best price. And it's just like, if you could start they must just have like patents like crazy and just like lawyers
dude,
that just
patents like crazy.
We will literally string you up by your nuts.
what they do is they just litigate small businesses until they can't possibly compete anymore. That's basically what they do. They tie them up in litigation. They tie them up so that they can't use utility poles.
Yeah, and they know like legally speaking, they probably can't hold a candle to anything that's actually there, but it
Right.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
because they can just throw money into the court system
Exactly.
until the company goes bankrupt. Okay, problem solved.
Done. Problem solved. Or they'll buy them out, and it's crazy. Yeah, ISPs are fucking scandalous. They're straight up scandalous.
Yeah.
I know Google was doing some really
I
interesting
really
things.
hope Google Fiber just
They
absolutely takes over and just like
dude,
obliterates.
or at least opens up,
ISPs.
or at least puts in enough competition to where like the governments will listen to them and realize that we need competition so that I think that's what they were trying to do, is just inspire other businesses to pick this up. They're doing some really some really interesting things. Like they're straight up to run their fiber. They're just carving into the side of a street because the ISPs won't let them use the poles.
Yeah.
So they just basically take a saw, make a sliver,
3/8 of an inch blade.
Yeah,
wow,
exactly. Then they run the fiber through it, and then they put it over this hardcore compressed foam over it. So if something gets cut or whatever, they can just strip it out, relay it, and it's golden. So it's really interesting the way that they're doing it. I saw a video of how they're doing it. Super really cool. But
that gives me hope for humanity. Especially the fact that the ISPs are like fighting it and they're not letting you use cable lines. It's
I don't care. Okay, well, fuck.
You think we're not going to find a way to take advantage of this like multi-billion-dollar market?
Exactly.
You're a fool. It's like Google will crush it.
I hope so, dude. They just won a verdict to...
Google did.
Yeah, Google just won a verdict against AT&T and I think Verizon. Yes. And it was basically just roadblocks that they were throwing up, and the local government threw it out.
Like, you think we don't have lawyers?
Yeah,
you think we don't have money?
Yeah, exactly.
Not gonna bankrupt.
But that's what I want, man. I fucking hate. I have Cox. I hate it. It's terrible. I've had.
They make. Yeah, they called me like 3 or 4 months ago, and they're just like, oh, by the way, we don't offer your speed anymore, so we had to bump you to the next higher one. I'm just like, and they're like, and your rate's going up. Oh, okay. Yeah. So the next lowest one was like less than half or like a quarter of my old speed.
Right.
And I was only going to get my old price if I went down to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow,
of course.
This is awesome.
Exactly, dude.
But I did actually fight and got my old rate back.
You did? Yeah. That's awesome. But then it's like, okay, well, 6 months later, you're going to have to do it again. And that's what they do. They just do the slow squeeze. It's just a slow squeeze on the community over and over and over. You get that $3 fee, turns into $3.50, turns into $4. Yeah. And it just sneaks up on everybody. Like, I loved Cable One.
Aggregate, like how many households are in Tucson? It's like if they ping you with some stupid $1.50 environmental fee because they had to go and recycle some cable line, and it's not like they're going to pay for that.
Yeah,
it's like,
fuck no.
That's like an extra $300,000.
Exactly. Oh, millions.
Yeah,
millions. Like, did you hear about what was it? AT&T's? I think it was AT&T. They just bumped up their administrative fee from $1.50 to $3 over the United States. And that's going to net them an additional like $6 billion or something crazy, dude. It was something insane. It might not be $6 billion, but it was just an exorbitant amount of additional revenue that they're going to get just from adding a little fuck you to everybody. and they said that the reason for the increase in fees were for tower installations, bullshit, whatever, like stuff that they should be paying for as their business. Like, that's your business. What are we paying for if it's not for that? If we're not already paying for that, what the fuck are we paying for?
Exactly. It's like, that's the thing that like bugs me about fees and stuff. It's like, I respect the business. In order to operate a business, ideally the business shouldn't pay for anything on its own.
Right.
And
that's what.
But the things that require them to operate and provide superior services should be built into the price that they give to everyone. It should
be their overhead.
And they shouldn't just be some little nickel dime thing. It's just like, oh, we upgrade the towers every 10 years. So usually, that's reflected in your bill. And with inflation, it goes up every 10 years or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, I respect that.
That's reasonable. But when it's just like vague ass statements, right before they're about to do their like revenue call for the year or whatever, it's like that's a little too convenient.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna post positive, huh? That's weird.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I was reading that like McDonald's, whenever they add something to their menu that it wasn't there before, if like they have bananas in some salad, they have to do an entire world economic impact of the banana supply.
Wow.
Because
it's such a
like
strain.
Infrastructure to support it.
Yeah.
And they have like global menus. They'll bankrupt nations if they're not like
Wow.
careful about stuff like that, because like, oh, like bananas are this place's sole source of revenue. If we swoop in and buy them for pennies on the dollar, they're gonna like
it'll
these
collapse,
people starve and die.
Holy
So,
shit!
Like, so it's super crazy.
That's crazy.
Like lettuce and like bell peppers and all kinds of weird stuff like that. Like it's not as simple as just
It's not
like,
just,
hey,
oh,
we need
more
this for our new
farmers.
salad. Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess that's what happens whenever you just have a corporation of that size. I know that they're the most what the fuck? They use the most chicken. They use like insane amounts of chicken.
Yeah.
I wonder how much beef they use. It's nuts to think about the infrastructure that has to be in place for them to like.
And then,
just industrial farming or.
And when you think about that, you think about the incentive for a corporation to like grow chicken in like a
vat.
A vat.
Yeah, exactly. Of
It's
course.
just, like, in suspended liquid.
Yeah,
it's already processed, and you can just like crack it into a little patty. Like, you don't have to kill anything. It's just
for sure.
Grow as chicken meat.
For sure.
The future, man.
They'll probably be. I bet you're right. I bet they will be one of the first investors in that technology, because there are labs that are working on. There's lab grown meat already. You know,
they grow
like,
organs, and then logically the next step is food, right?
Well, I know there's like $100,000 meatball or something. It's lab grown. That's really what it is. It's a fucking
$100,000 meatball.
Yeah,
That's like the best name for a band I've ever heard.
$100,000 meatball. Let me see. I'm gonna Google what this lab grown meat is that now.
I think we found the name of our first episode. $100,000 meatball.
Here we go. Yeah, there it is. So they've got patties. Ugh, it doesn't look.
Oh, it just looks like meat to me. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'd eat it.
I totally would eat it, because if it's
like, what is it actually grown?
It is basically
muscle?
cloned. Yeah, so they take some DNA, or not DNA. They take
whatever they take.
They take some
stuff,
bio mass, and grow it. They just put it in the right place. They give it whatever it needs, and it fucking just grows into whatever shape you have the receptacle. You know, whatever shape the receptacle.
I have to wonder if they're gonna like engineer like cancer to be the food of the future. You know, it's like, oh, like cancer, like it grows and metastasizes, and like, all you have to do is inject it with sugar and it just gets bigger. Yeah, well, we can just change the genetic code so it grows into steak.
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of a tumor.
I mean, that's
could you imagine just like you sit down at a nice restaurant
doing.
and there's like, yes, we have a dry aged tumor steak tonight with peppercorn. A what steak?
A what? Tumor steak?
No, it tastes exactly the same. So
fully green.
Won't give you cancer.
Yeah, will not.
It's already cancer.
So let's see. In 2013, the world's first lab-grown burger was unveiled to the world. It carried a $330,000 price tag. Mm-hmm. So that was in 2013. Now they've got it way down. I know that. So let me find the next. It might be $10,000 now. Oh, what the hell? Windows 10. What am I doing?
Wow.
Zooming out of
the future, man.
Zooming into the future.
Price of a lab-grown burger has gone down 30x.
Yeah, exactly. I'm scanning too quick. I don't know. But anyways, the price is coming down, and it just looks weird. But I mean, obviously, if it tastes like regular meat, I would absolutely pay a little bit extra to have lab-grown meat. I mean, that's super cool to reduce
and
harm
like
ethically.
Vegans don't have a case anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, oh man, you know, because they don't want to hurt animals.
There is absolutely no need.
Imagine the Super Bowl commercials now.
Yeah,
it's like, baby, I grew it in a lab.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Look.
Zero
He's got, like,
animals.
a fish tank like floating around,
just
little
weird
blobs
fucking
of meat, like algae on the surface. You gotta fight with it a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit alive.
But it doesn't have any brain. There's no nervous system or anything.
It's effectively a beef fish is what it is.
Brain dead beef fish is what it is. You just fucking hit it with your tenderizer and you're tenderizing it.
Oh man.
as you put it out of its...
I'm just imagining every once in a while you'd have that evolutionary anomaly where it grows and it like happens to get an eyeball. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, honey, I got another package with an eyeball and it's so weird and uncomfortable and it's blinking at me right now. Is it alive? No, they assure us that it is not alive.
It's not alive.
It's just a function of its being.
Kill me.
Yeah, kill me. Oh my God.
Okay.
But then it's like...
It told me to.
Like, I wonder where robotics and
lab
biogenetics where do they intersect? And
that's actually that's interesting,
because that would make sense to me to be the future of robots, is to be maybe like a magnesium skeleton, and then everything is grown around that or whatever. Processor up top, obviously, or whatever. If it's a hominid,
it's like,
but
like building a computer, man. You're just like, okay, what kind of bones do you want?
Yeah.
Magnesium seems good enough to me.
Yeah, magnesium is light, very strong.
Vanadium, nah. Vibranium.
Adamantium.
We'll have a fucking robot Donald Trump for president.
Oh my God, that sounds terrifying.
This would be the best robot Donald Trump.
the strongest, the biggest.
It's gonna be huge.
Dude, I mean, they're working on Tesla. Tesla has a company working on a neural interface.
I heard about that the other day.
That's super interesting to me, man, because I mean, that's something that we could actually see in our lifetime is an effective neural interface, and it doesn't. I mean, maybe it will be intrusive in gaining that capability. Like, I guess they're talking about a mesh that would go, basically, it would lay over the back of your brain and probably your central nervous system or something.
Like on the inside of your skull?
On the inside, yeah. So it'd probably be a laparoscopic surgery. So maybe like a small hole that, kind of like an umbrella.
Umbrella type thing?
Yeah. Goes over your brain. sounds...
Dude, that sounds... We're just going to drill a small hole. Real small.
You will not feel a thing. And then this mesh
looks like this alien is going to open up into your skull and wrap your brain in a little safety blanket. That's what it's going to do.
That's what they'll call
make
it.
You smarter, better, faster.
Yeah, they'll call it the safety blanket.
Neurochem safety blanket.
Yeah.
Available now. Talk to your physician. Side effects may include...
Oh my God, that's fucking funny.
Migrants have been reporting the population.
But you're super smart at that point. You could interface directly with the internet, and
I always wonder about I feel like I would always want a hard kill, like analog switch in my body. It's like, I don't want my thoughts projected or recorded I feel like if I actually just settled out all of the things that I've ever thought, I would absolutely be in prison.
For sure. Everyone.
Exactly.
Absolutely everyone.
That's everyone.
If Minority Report were a real thing, everyone would be in jail.
Yeah. Because
everyone has had those intrusive thoughts that are terrible. Like, you see a little kid and you're like, what would happen if I grabbed that little kid and threw it in front of a train? Or put it right under.
Think about it.
Yeah, you just run a simulation through in your head, and we think about the most disgusting.
I love that. That's like what you thought. You're just like, well, everyone's had that thought where they're just like, this little kid, there might not even be bothering you, and you're just like, what would happen if I took him and threw him in front of a bus? Let me think about that.
Exactly. I'm going to play that through in my head.
Not the consequences, just the immediate
Just that instance. Yeah, no, for sure would be. But that's the thing. It's like, at what point do you draw that line? Because there will be that merging. And if you're connected to the internet, your eyes or your brain could transmit your optical information. Yeah. So you could record videos into the cloud.
Instagram Live 2020.
Yeah, Instagram
baby.
Live, absolutely. You could be live streaming exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And the viewer could be closing their eyes and seeing it exactly as you'd see it. As a 3-dimensional, it's stereoscopic,
Could you imagine
full resolution, or even increased resolution. Like if our eyes, if we put something in between, or in between our eyes and our brain, we could have higher resolution. We could have better eyes, because our eyes could absolutely be improved in so many ways.
If you have an interface between your optical nerves and the actual eyeballs itself, it's like, oh shit, Canon just came out with the fucking 4K optic
exactly.
nerve. It's like, plug that baby in. Oh,
exactly.
I see it 120 frames a second now.
Yeah, you could see, you could zoom into things with just your eyes.
Slow-mo replays.
Saving, you could record things, which is crazy.
You have to wonder, like, when the binary compatibility would work, right? It's like when you no longer have to risk, like the first thing that I think of is like a military application, right? Where it's like president is in the situation room with all the top generals and stuff, and they're literally looking through the eyes of a Navy SEAL. That's in operation.
Exactly.
Like, holy crap! I mean, they have helmet cams and stuff. It's
right,
essentially the same
right, exactly.
It would be entirely different if all of the information that a brain was processing could be output to something else. I don't see why it couldn't be influenced the other way.
Yeah.
Right? You just go in and pilot some person that you grew.
Absolutely.
And it's like they're human, but they're essentially a robot.
Right. Exactly.
Like, dude.
You avatars, and that's what people are saying, is like you would have your virtual reality, your virtual world, which would be all in the cloud, which you could run any simulation you want, or you could have an avatar go out and do things for you. You could control the avatar. You could have it autonomous. There are so many fucking possibilities. It's mind-blowing to think about. You could be like, oh, I'm going to make my avatar go run all these errands for me. I don't know why you would need to run errands in the future, but let's say you need to go drop off groceries.
You and I were talking about like how cool it would be if you could clean your house while you're sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Exactly. That'd be so dope.
Wake up and be like, oh, the house is fucking spotless. Yeah.
You just do the dishes, fold your laundry, and just like pass back out.
Just totally dreaming.
Oh, that'd be so cool. If you just like, you take the chore pill and it's just like you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, you're like, wow.
Oh, I'm so glad I remembered to take my chore pill.
I can pay my maid $120 a month, or I can just buy this little prescription and like sleepwalk every night.
Exactly. Or program it. Like, set a reminder in your brain.
Neuralink.
That's the stuff that really intrigues me.
Yeah, and it's like the utility of robots over the ability for like an avatar to be autonomous, or for something like that, where you can essentially turn off your brain and rest and let your body go into autopilot. Like if we crack the code behind like exactly what makes sleep helpful, and we can just shut off your brain and keep your body active.
Exactly. Yeah, you'd have your backup system basically. Yeah. You're asleep, your backup system's running, it's not going to do anything you wouldn't do, it's not going to put you in any danger, yada yada yada.
Yeah, and it can even like log memories and stuff like that.
Exactly. Oh, we'll remind him about this later.
Yeah.
Here's a summary of what happened while you were asleep, and it'd just be like a little fucking previously on dawn.
I have to wonder, like, because in order to reduce the risk of like accidents and stuff like that, I'm just like imagining like pre-programmed like margins of safety and like everything they do. Like they walk, they don't want to twist their ankle, so like these avatars at night just like
super careful.
like walking around.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I feel like computers process things so much faster than us that it could probably sprint safer than we can walk.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like
it can gather data every time this creature runs for 10
to
the X
exactly, and extrapolate that and be like, okay, here are where the issues.
Here are the most prevalent injuries.
Yeah,
here's why.
Exactly. Yeah. Super interesting, man. And I think that's where that movie Her was so cool. Is just like, because the AI got to a point where it's just like, okay, well, you guys are boring. Mm-hmm. We're having 100,000 conversations at once, so we're just abandoning you.
Yep,
it's crazy,
going
man.
Dark.
And I feel like that has to happen. Mm-hmm. It has to happen. Either we merge with the machine. Well, we will merge with the machine, but there are going to be people who are not going to be comfortable with that, and there's going to be people that live in the real world, and there's going to be people who upload their consciousness to whatever that system is called.
Have you watched Altered Carbon on Netflix?
No. Oh, I started it. I think I watched the first episode.
I really liked it.
Yeah, super cool. So what, like the consciousness is in those little...
Yeah, they call them stacks. It's
yeah, the little
thing
stack.
in your spine. But yeah, it's essentially that concept where it's just like, I mean, real death is when somebody blasts a hole through your stack. But if your body dies, then you just like...
Yeah.
If you can afford another body, you just get rid of that body.
Which is interesting because it's like if they have those stacks, they should be able to back that up too.
And they do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
oh, nice. Okay, so I haven't
they call
watched.
them meths in the show. They're like these super elite secta society of all these people that have been alive for 1,300 years. Because
Whoa!
You can, and it's not illegal to back up your stack, but it is illegal to have multiple copies of yourself.
Gotcha.
It's like super duper illegal. So
because then you could just have 100,000 of yourself doing the things that you want to do, and you pretty much accomplish anything if you had enough.
You watched the pilot?
Yes, yeah, I watched the pilot with that badass like firefight and everything. Yeah, it was really cool. Taylor wasn't into it; she's not really into sci-fi.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, if you watched the first episode and you didn't want to watch the second one,
I totally do.
You're not gonna like it.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I totally do.
I
was even on the opening, I was like, oh, this looks fucking cool. I love it.
Yeah,
I love sci-fi like that. So
I love the pilot when he does all those drugs and stuff. And he's just like, oh,
yeah,
fucked up, get laid, get back on ice forever. Okay,
fucking crazy. Yeah, it's so interesting to think about that. I really do wonder what you and I will see in our lifetime. You know, in the next 40 or 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah,
hopefully longer.
That's another thing, man. Like they really are working on pushing lifespan,
reversing aging,
stopping aging. Yeah, like aging is a disease, and you can stop it, and you'll just
know
die.
that there are animals that don't degrade. So why can't we? Yeah,
exactly. That's something that's super interesting to me.
Engineered children, and like it's
perfect.
One of those things. It's like I don't even really think there's anything ethically wrong as long as we can like prove within a reasonable doubt that like we're altering these genes that are only eliminating diseases.
Yeah.
And you know, like those things have far-reaching consequences, and I don't think there's any way behind empirical experimentation that we'll ever be able to say, okay, this is the only thing that gene does.
Right. Which China is going to do for us, I'm sure.
I have no doubt.
They'll figure it out for us.
At least the pilot program, right? They'll have all kinds of weird
mutant
children that are like
definitely
super basketball stars and can run like 2-second miles and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're going to be all...
They're gonna be fucking ugly, that's for sure.
They're all, it turns out this is the handsome gene.
Yeah.
But it also makes you really fast if you turn it off.
Yeah, exactly. But it's gonna be very interesting, man.
Yeah.
The next 10 years, apparently CRISPR, and I only saw like a headline of this, so it might not be accurate, but people were saying that CRISPR might be causing more damage to DNA than we thought it was. Which doesn't surprise me either, but hopefully CRISPR gave them some more possibilities. Hopefully it opened up some branches that we can do some research on. Because I mean DNA,
like imagine just being able to like, and you know there's the like nature versus nurture genes, right? And people like who are obese or whatever, type 2 diabetes, like it might be possible for like you non-interventionally just like CRISPR, like put the little bacteriums or nanoparticles or whatever in them, and they just like it turns off the gene that makes them hungry all the time, right? And just like, okay, so this new CRISPR replaced the gene that was active that's causing you to overeat,
right?
And you're gonna feel happy and comfortable with 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And boom, no life changes, and they're in shape in 3 years. They don't have to exercise. They don't have to do shit. It's just like them now.
It's all diet.
It's no willpower, right? Yeah. So like, how is that going to make us, right? When the possibility to alter yourself artificially removes the necessity to really make a decision or stick to something like working out. It's
right?
we can just give you this pill or modify your genes or whatever, and you'll get super shredded.
Yeah,
strong. It's like you don't even need to do steroids, man. Like
your
muscles already know how to get bigger.
Right,
they're
just growing.
Traditionally, you tell them by weight training, but you don't need to do that anymore.
Don't even do that. You just put it on your phone. Just boop.
I'm
gonna gain a little mass.
You just go to LA and like everyone is just like this like super hot babe or this like shredded bro, and they're all I just played football. And just,
exactly.
Like, not a fat person in sight. You're like,
I think that would, It would probably just help society move forward. I mean, because then you wouldn't have, you wouldn't have fat shaming, or I think it would probably remove. I mean, I guess it depends on the cost. If people couldn't afford it, that would just, just make even more of a
it's
separation.
I'm imagining that I feel like it would make people better if everyone looked a lot more similar, or at least exactly the way that they wanted to look. Right? Because then you really do have to stand out in what you've done and your personality and your contribution.
But you could be exactly who you want to be, or look like exactly how you want to look.
And it's like, I feel like it's unfair isn't the right word, but like somebody who's very attractive, female in particular, but male to an extent, really is kind of hand-fed their whole life.
Oh, for sure.
Things are not as difficult for somebody that's traditionally attractive.
Absolutely.
Straight up, across the board.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to get jobs easier. There's probably going to be higher pay.
I don't know if there's anyone that would argue that.
Yeah.
Or anyone that has any credibility that would argue that.
All right. Take note, podcast listeners. Our next guest might be a dissident.
A beautiful homeless person. No, I'm sure there are beautiful homeless people. But, I mean...
Are you sure, though?
There's a bell curve there.
Have you seen one?
Have you ever seen one? No, not really. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I probably would have helped him.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, you seem like a normal person. Why are you
Why are you in the street? Can I get you back up on your feet again or something? Like, don't even have to do anything. Like his cat eating pineapple.
I got our cat one of those little fucking animal or little cat.
What are you doing, cat?
Little cat grass things at the pet store.
Yeah.
And it's literally just grass for cats.
Why?
Khaleesi will just go over and chow on it.
Yeah, I need to get her some cat grass.
That's hilarious.
Cat, go outside. Quit killing that pineapple.
That's a pineapple?
That is a pineapple.
Dude, that's so dope.
Yeah, you cut the top off of a pineapple and stick it in dirt and water it, and it grows.
That's amazing.
Have you seen a pineapple plant before?
I don't think so.
Pineapples grow out like an agave shoot, and then like flower at the end, and like that's how they grow. It looks like an agave.
That's fucking crazy.
Like if you had asked me,
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, apparently I'm binging. I'm not using Bing. Get out of here.
I hate to use Firefox.
No wonder I'm not getting any good results.
I can't find anything that I want to.
Come on,
Bing.
Bing. Pineapple plant.
Unless he farms them.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like, how did you think that they grew before that? Like on a tree? Because that's kind of what I thought.
I think I thought it was a tree. It just maybe hung down or something.
Yeah, look at these things.
That's fucking weird.
Weird.
That is so weird. That looks like something humans created.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's fucking weird. Pineapples are awesome. Like what?
Yeah. So listeners, take note. Pineapples are weird. Look them up.
Pineapples
They're not what you think.
Fucking weird. You thought you knew pineapples. You don't know shit about pineapples.
You don't know shit about pineapples.
Weird.
We're at an hour. Do we want to call it?
Yeah, let's call it, dude. I think that was golden.
All right. Covered a lot of ground today.
You know what I didn't do was
hit record.
Oh, I never did like a spike.
Oh,